everybody. I'm Julie Bryant-Fisher. I'm the Chief Experience Officer at TAG, and I'm joined here today by Brad Rain. She's an engineering manager at Acorn Product Development, and this is the latest episode of TAG TV, TAG Radio. Brad, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Julie. It's a pleasure.
Well, it's nice to have you here. So, a native Atlantan in the house.
That's it.
Here we are. So, tell us a little bit about your role at Acorn and you here in Atlanta and the Georgia technology landscape.
Absolutely. So, as Julie said, I'm a native Atlantan, or as you said, Julie, I'm a native Atlantan. And I attended Georgia Tech, graduated in 2007.
Okay.
And subsequently started my career in the defense industry, actually.
Okay.
Moved a bunch of places that weren't Atlanta, and then realized that I had to get back home. So,
nice, the home return
exactly.
story.
The prodigal son returns, exactly. So for about the last 8 years, I've worked for Acorn Product Development, specifically in product design.
Okay.
So that takes all forms. It's a design consultancy. So basically, whoever is paying our bills gets our services.
Nice.
And we work on everything from consumer electronics to medical devices to advanced robotic systems.
Nice.
So, but specifically the reason why, well, I should back up. Acorn Product Development was founded 25 years ago.
25 years ago.
Yes. By,
All right. So Acorn Product Development, 25 years ago, this company is founded.
Correct.
And what's it founded to do?
So the two guys who founded the company, Ken and Tim, were both the heads of mechanical engineering under Steve Jobs at Next Computer.
Wow.
So a couple of guys, very bright, obviously mentored and brought up in that kind of West Coast design paradigm.
Yeah.
And they recognized that there was a real absence in the industry of any analysis-driven, design for manufacturability focused engineering services.
Okay.
There were a lot of companies who could kind of cobble together a 3D printed prototype that if you held it in the right way kind of looked like it would work,
right.
but like would kind of rattle and shake and not really fulfill the function of a full service prototype.
Right.
So we entered the field to fill that gap and be always kind of production minded. You know, we never build just a 3D printed prototype. Like I said, it's always on a production path.
Okay. So that's what you were essentially helping your clients do, right?
Exactly.
So let's get into that differentiator then. Let's keep going along those lines of how is Acorn Product Development different in terms of product development. You do the actual prototype, you're on a product path for your clients. What are the other things that help you stand apart? Sure.
So the first thing is our people. We're very rigorous in our interview processes. So really top tier engineers.
Nice.
But then also any one of our engineers could be a manufacturing engineer in addition to a design engineer. So there really is no design manufacturing divide at Acorn. That gets back to the production path, that everything that we do is targeted for, you know, if it's going to be an injection molded part or a cast part or something along those lines, which is ultimately a huge value to our clients because we don't, you know, deviate a bunch onto different rabbit trails, right? So
that
everything kind of stays focused with the end goal in mind.
You keep them focused, that's it, because they're going to come at you with a lot of great big ideas.
Exactly.
And you're going to say, that's a really cool idea. Here's what it's going to take to actually get that to become a product.
Exactly. And there's a lot of great ideas that come out in the design process,
Sure.
You know, that you say, well, it could have this bell and whistle or this feature. And so what we bring to the process is a lot of engineering rigor that we can actually apply analytics, apply the data, and measure the technical performance metrics very early in the process to say, okay, down select, here's our feature set, here's our minimum viable product, whatever it is, to get through, again, with that, always with that end goal in mind of launching a product into production.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the products that you're working on.
Sure.
Okay, give me the cool stuff.
Well, there's some stuff under NDA, so I'm not sure if I can share everything that we're working on right now.
Okay.
But there's some older stuff that we can talk about, and there's some public record things where our clients have chosen to announce their partnership with us.
So I did a little digging, and you guys have some really cool names under your belt, like Keurig, like Kitty Hawk. So let's go to Keurig. Tell me about what you've done for them.
Sure. So almost any brewer that you see out in public these days has a puncture mechanism, is what it's called, where you load the portion pack in.
Yeah.
So we designed all the plastics and the mechanics of how that works, and supported them in manufacturing that system. So
right, you changed my life, right? So I am the proud owner of a Keurig, like many folks, but I like my coffee piping hot. My life was changed forever this past Christmas when I received the extra hot Keurig.
Extra hot. We actually worked on that system.
Oh, really?
So we did a lot of the fluid analysis and thermal analysis that allowed Keurig to dial up those extra couple of degrees that are making your mornings.
Seriously? They
Absolutely.
are making my mornings. They're making my life. Are you kidding me? You think I'd be here now without my extra hot coffee? So how do you all go about working with a big client like Keurig and convincing them that Acorn product development here in Atlanta is the place to go to?
Yeah, so we have locations all over the world, first of all. So we have a location in Silicon Valley, a location in Boston, one in Dongguan, China that helps with some of our sourcing, production kinds of tasks. But then our location here in Atlanta is regionally focused, but also supports the other offices in design effort.
Great.
But circling back to your question about large clients, the value that we bring to them can be a couple of things. It can be just a simple number of resource availability that they have, that they say we have to launch 8 projects in the next 8 years, and we only have the bandwidth for 4. So we come in for staff augmentation purposes. But a lot of it is, like I referenced earlier, we add value and we bring additional engineering rigor to the process. So a lot of times clients either won't have in-house the thermal analysis, the flow analysis expertise that we can bring to a problem, or they have it kind of siloed off in a corner and it's not well integrated in the team, and so we can kind of step in and help bring everything together.
What about Kitty Hawk? Talk to me about Kitty Hawk, because that's an interesting one.
That was a fun project because we were working with them. That's Kitty Hawk Aerospace out of the Bay Area. We were working with their early design prototypes, again, kind of helping narrow focus and vision. We worked on a couple of flight design or flight control servos.
Got it.
So basically the motors, servos that control secondary flight surfaces like the wingtips and the ailerons. And elevators and things of that nature. Wow. But all with the end goal of having a vertical takeoff and land, completely electric personal aircraft.
Wow.
That fits within the bounds of a normal parking space.
It is hard for a little mind like me to grasp how a firm like yours would run the gamut in terms of going from personal aircraft to Keurig coffee machines and have the breadth and level of expertise to handle all of that for clients. Where does that come from? How are you doing that?
Well, it goes back to a lot of our people, and it goes back to a lot of the basic engineering principles that we apply to problems transcend these vertical boundaries.
It's profound, actually.
And so, and it can kind of bring some interesting solutions, especially in the design kind of solution space or when we're brainstorming, because if you're working for Newell Brands and you're only in the writing division, all you've ever seen is pins or whatever it is, but we can enter a brainstorm with potential clients like that and say, well, we've seen similar tight-fitting plastics and high precision molds out of water pitchers. Brita is one of our big clients out of the out of the Bay Area.
Oh, wow.
So, we can kind of bring these insights from across different verticals to bear, and it ultimately benefits everybody.
Wow, that's amazing. All right, so I have to ask then, why Atlanta?
Well, that's a great question. We had the locations in Silicon Valley and Boston. The Atlanta office is only about 2 years old, so I was working out of the Boston office at the time, and I decided, it was time to be back closer to family, so I was looking for justification. And a lot of design firms have kind of an East Coast presence, a West Coast presence, and a Middle America presence in kind of a lower cost of living area that allows you to bring down bill rates on the kind of higher fee East and West Coast.
Sure.
Now, the great thing about Atlanta and the way that I was able to sell it up the chain is that not only does it have the cost of living that makes that attractive in terms of expansion, and in terms of recruiting with Georgia Tech here close by, and in terms of the industry and medical device presence that comes from Emory.
Sure.
And just the features of a top 10 city, both in population and culture.
Yeah.
It's got all of those draws. But it also has a huge potential client base because of the number of Fortune 100 companies
Sure.
that have their offices here.
So kind of that perfect mix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. It was the perfect balance of
Good.
being the business opportunity of Boston, but the cost of living of Minnesota.
Yeah, okay, that's a good analogy, right? All right, so we've talked about the products and some of the cool projects you guys have been able to work on. I want to go in two directions here. I want to talk about the challenges.
Okay.
And then let's go into the future. So everyone's always curious when they're talking to someone like you to know, like, well, what are you seeing that's on our horizon? But let's talk about the challenges first. So
Sure.
for you all and for the product development industry itself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a couple of challenges, and the technical challenges and even schedule challenges of, we needed this done yesterday. All of those are achievable to one level or another, and all of them are kind of fun. The places where I get stuck is there's a lot changing in the product development space as the economy becomes more globalized. There's a lot of people who just go straight to China for product development services, and I would caution people that you get what you pay for.
Okay.
That if a contract manufacturer is willing to design something for free, it's because they want the manufacturing business on the back end. We are contract manufacturing agnostic, so we will work with any manufacturer that makes sense for the product, and we can kind of drive down prices that way.
Gotcha.
But one of the other challenges is with the advent of the Kickstarters and the Indiegogos of the world, everybody who's got $15,000 and a cool idea thinks they can launch a product. And I have to do a lot of expectation setting, both for solo inventors and even for big companies who have not done a lot of product development, that it's an expensive and time-consuming process. I mean, even as a solo inventor with a small, widget, you probably can't launch into full-scale production for less than like $100,000.
Oh, I was waiting for the number.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so you don't want to burst their bubble.
Exactly. I don't want to crush their dreams. I don't want to be the guy who rains on their parade, but at the same time, you have to. Any product development firm who says, oh yeah, we'll take your $15,000 and you'll be in production in China is selling you something.
Yeah.
So
there's much more to it than that.
There is.
All
There still
right.
is.
So let's talk about the future and what impresses you. What are the things that you have seen? You've been in a lot of cool circles.
A lot of different verticals.
Okay.
So from an industry perspective, one of the things that I'm really excited about is just as 3D printing technology continues to advance.
Yes.
And even in the last 5 years, we've seen huge leaps and bounds. It's still doesn't have parity with other manufacturing processes yet.
Okay, because I'm still at the 3D ear. Like we've all seen that picture.
Right.
Okay. I'm still there. Like, is that going to happen?
Yeah, and we do a lot of 3D printing in aluminum, which even when I was in college was $1,000 per cubic inch or something,
Yeah.
and now it's reasonable, but it's not as reasonable as casting or machining is yet. As soon as it reaches that parity, I mean, things are going to blow up, and we're going to have all kinds of really cool technologies.
Do you have a sense of when that parity will be achieved?
I don't, but I think that I'm certainly excited to see what happens in the next 5 years, because like I said, we've seen that much growth in the last 5 years that brings it into the realm of possibility. To go from possibility to parity, I think is, if I had to guess, probably another 5.
Okay, fair enough.
But that's from an industry perspective of what I do every day. From the things that I've been involved with, there's all kinds of cool things, like personal robotics, autonomous bipedal robotics, so actually getting humanoid robots up and moving around. One of our big clients out of the Boston office is Boston Dynamics.
Oh, wow.
So almost any of their viral videos, we've had our fingers in at various points in the past. And they have bipedal robots that can do backflips and do parkour and all kinds of other things.
Do parkour, that's awesome.
Exactly. So as that technology continues to advance, robots are going to be more and more prevalent. on the...
But not in a scary way.
Not in a scary way.
Or in a scary way?
No, no.
Okay.
If you saw every time that the Boston Dynamics robot like fell over before it achieved that backflip, you wouldn't be too worried about it.
I'm not worried about that.
Exactly.
We're talking about personal aircraft?
Yeah, so the Kitty Hawk Aerospace was another experience that, like you, I'm sure, sitting in Atlanta traffic, you always wish that you could hit a button and just Uber and soar above.
Are you about to tell me that I can soon?
Someday. Okay. So Kitty Hawk is testing in New Zealand presently an Uber type model where you could call a personal aircraft and use that for travel. Now I have no idea what the price point's going to be for that, but as battery technology continues to progress and reduce in size and increase in power density, opportunities like that are just going to increase. And it's something that my parents always said, oh, by the year 2000, we'll have flying cars.
And we'll be in spacesuits.
Exactly.
It'll be the Jetsons.
Yeah, but hopefully in our lifetime, we'll see something akin to that, with personal electric aircraft, hopping from building top to building top.
That's amazing, right? What a good time to be here.
Absolutely.
So TAG is always excited to have partners like Acorn. We are delighted that you're in and that you're a member. And we always love to hear how it's working for you and what TAG means to companies like Acorn.
Absolutely. So again, as an Atlanta native, I always am excited about doing what I can to support the tech community in Atlanta and the growth of product development in Atlanta. There's a lot of software, a lot of fintech. I want to see more hardware, being developed in the Atlanta area. And TAG is a great place for networking, and it's a great place to kind of invest and give back and support the community like that.
That's great. Well, we're really grateful for the partnership. All right, so we've reached the point now here at the end where native Atlantan, I got here in '99. A lot has changed. You've seen even more.
It's changed a lot since I was in school at Tech. When I was at Tech, you really didn't step off campus at night, and now these kids have all these cool places to go hang out at. These kids these days have the Beltline and the. But up in my neck of the woods, I live in East Cobb, I've really seen a huge turnaround in downtown Roswell. It's a really awesome place to hang out.
Where's a place you like to go to eat? Give us a tip.
Okay. Very favorite restaurant in Atlanta is Little Alley Steakhouse.
Oh.
I was just there for my birthday 3 weeks ago.
I've heard about this. All right, I'm going to have to go.
Got to check it out.
I'm going to have to go. Well, listen, thank you so much for your time today and coming in to talk with us. It's been fascinating, and we really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
It's nice to have
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you.